Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode. When he heard a strange man's voice call back, he was shocked. He didn't know that someone else was in these woods. His body moved quickly and with only one goal in mind. Getting his daughter was the only thing that could stop him. He ran and yelled for her, but the voice of this strange man kept answering back. He went in the direction of the voice, hoping that she was okay. John Utsi, his son David, and his daughter Brittany went on a walk on a Saturday. John loved teaching his kids how to stay alive because he was in the service. He also loved taking them outside to work out. David was 10 years old, and Brittany was 12 years old. They were both excited to show their dad how smart and strong they were and make him proud. Today, though, that would be checked out. John often let his kids run and play before he caught up with them. He believed in their hiking skills and knew they would be able to stay on their feet if they ever came across dangerous ground. It wasn't John's job to worry about the land, though. Things began to go horribly wrong and quickly became dangerous about an hour into their walk. John liked to hike because it helped him unwind and lose himself in the beautiful nature and scenery around him. As he watched his kids laugh farther away, he started to lose focus. Suddenly, a creepy silence woke him up from his thoughts. He turned around and saw that he could no longer see his kids. He called out to them in his sharp, deep military voice. He waited for a response while listening, but he didn't hear one. Now there was a lot of fear. They always got back to me. He ran ahead, yelling their names over the wooded mountain range over and over. But before he could think of the worst thing that could happen, he saw his son come out from behind some trees. John takes a deep breath in and feels a wave of great relief that he hasn't felt in a long time. But things weren't what they seemed to be. David came up to him. John knew something was wrong when he looked at him, though. He looked just as happy to see him. He asked, "What's wrong? Where is your sister?" He quickly looked all around them. He said, "I don't know. I cannot locate her." John's heart sank, and his blood grew cold. This forest was very big. Besides that, bears and cougars lived in this area. But that wasn't the only thing that lived here. There was still something else just around the corner. John grabbed his son by the arm and told him to stay with him as they went up. It sounded like thunder when his yells echoed through the trees. He screamed for what seemed like a long time and then stopped. As he heard a person shout back, his feet felt like they were stuck to the ground. But it wasn't his girls' voices he heard. It wasn't my voice, it was someone else's. John brought his kids on a trail that wasn't used by many people on this mountain. When he pulled up to the mountain starting point, he didn't see any other walkers' cars parked there. He told himself he was being too careless, which made his mind run. John heard the voice of a man calling back. He didn't know that someone else was in these woods. Being there all of a sudden scared him, especially since his daughter was still somewhere. John's body sprang into action after his initial shock. He told his son to stay put while he ran toward the voice of the strange man. It seemed close. He kept calling out for his daughter, and this strange voice kept answering. The thought of what the hell was going on kept running through John's mind. Why didn't she answer back? He could feel that he was getting close. He really hoped that what he would find would not be any of the scary things he had imagined. As he came around the corner of a big rock, he saw his daughter standing still. He called out to her. It woke her up from her dream. She looked at him with big eyes and a worried look on her face. She looked around. She turned around and looked in the same direction as before. John was confused by her response, so he followed her creepy look. He then saw it. The man who had been yelling was there. He held out his arm to Brittany. He used his hand to point to her, and she stood still. John grabbed her and ran up to her. He then understood what was going on. His daughter was scared and frozen as she looked over at a guy who was lying on the ground. It took a lot of strength for him to even lift his hand. His hand was raised to ask her for help. It was very hard for him to answer John's yells. John sped up to him and asked right away what was wrong. The man reached into his bag and gave him food and water. He jumped up all of a sudden. He forgot about his son while he was running to find his daughter because he thought he might be in danger. While he ran back to his son, he told his daughter to help the man. They were finally back together. He asked the strange man once more what had happened. But he was having a hard time talking. The man couldn't walk and there was no way to call for help. John had to quickly think. The next day, John found out that he and his kids had found a 50-year-old climber who had gone on a walk 5 weeks before and then not been seen since. He hurt himself and couldn't move. His strength went down as the days went by. He was found, but he wasn't out of the woods yet. He was lying next to a stream. He couldn't stand because his legs wouldn't work. He was stuck. He lost his mind. He wasn't making much sense, thinks John. His lips were so dry that they were drawing blood. His mouth was very big. He was very thin and gaunt. This guy needs help so badly, I thought. He told the man he would be back with the cops and left all of his food with him. John and his kids ran the 3 miles to the parking lot and called for help right away. Within an hour, firemen from Santa Fe arrived at the scene, and John gave them the man's exact GPS position. Then, though, something went wrong. The fire crew couldn't find the man even with the exact locations that John had given them. They had been looking for John for 8 hours, but they hadn't found him. This made John very sad. The captain of the search group stopped the search when it got dark. That night, John tossed and turned in bed as he thought about the poor man they had left to his own devices. What might he do? I was lying there thinking, this guy is still in the mountains. So, at 9 a.m. on Sunday, I put on my climbing boots again and went back. John told the news station CBS. John was determined to find the man and save him, so he used the GPS to go back up the mountain and prayed that he would find him. But there wasn't much time left. John finally found the man after going around a corner, exactly where his daughter had found him. It had taken him more than an hour to get there. After that, he ran back to the parking lot and called 911 again. After another night in the woods, the poor walker was in worse shape. He wasn't going to take any risks this time. Before noon, John called 911. The team didn't show up for 4 hours. Then John led 2 different rescue groups to the man, who was still holding on. Nathan Garcia, captain of the Santa Fe firefighters, was shocked to learn how long the man had been lying there and what he had done to stay alive. Nathan told the press, "We had never found someone who had been out for that long. I am not sure. Our bodies can do amazing things sometimes, but I don't think he had much left in him. When we finally met him, he seemed like he was nearing the end." What did happen? The man had hurt his back on the trail so badly that he couldn't even stand, let alone walk. He was a seasoned walker. His food ran out quickly, and he didn't eat for more than a week. He was lucky to have his water bottle with a filter with him. He was lucky that he had passed out near the stream. He would move around to get to the stream. Nathan said he would drink water from the stream and then wiggle his way away from it at night because it got colder there. By the time the rescuers found him, his body temperature was too low to be safe. They had to quickly warm him up before moving him. The people who came to help made a fire and wrapped the man in blankets. They took him outside when he was warm enough. Nathan said he had the will to live for sure. He might not have been saved at all if John hadn't kept trying. What was the mistake that even a seasoned walker can make that almost killed them? Stick together at all times. Hikers must follow this easy rule to keep things safe on the trail. It only takes seconds for a trail to become dangerous for even experienced hikers. The hiker could have died a lot worse if John and his family hadn't found him. He had no one to help him and no way to call for help. That's it for today, friends. Please let us know what you think about this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more amazing stories.